All right, today's a fun one. Today we are going to cover online leads, online inquiries, Facebook leads, pay-per-clicks, any of those kinds of things. If you're paying for any resources like a Zillow or a Realtor, this is what they use, and this is what comes in super handy. So the first thing that you want to know is you don't want to make these people jump through a lot of hoops. They have been searching on websites. They may have talked to real estate agents already. So we want to make sure that we give them what they want when they inquire about a property. We don't want to start pre-qualifying them right away. The first thing we want to do is just set the appointment, right? And so make it super simple. Hey guys, I noticed you were, looking at this property. When would be the best time for me to open up that door for you? When would, how soon can you get out to take a look at it? We've had a lot of interest in that property. Obviously, you guys have good taste. When would be the best time for me to be able to get out and get that opened up and give you guys a chance to see it? So just set the appointment to begin with. Now, I know things are changing. I know we're going to have contracts before we take somebody in. This is not the place or the time to be going through any of that stuff. This is the time to give them exactly what they want, which is to set the appointment. The next thing that you want to do while you've got them on the phone is after you've kind of got that set up. And by the way, this doesn't mean, most of these are not your listings. This doesn't mean, hey, let me see if I can get that done. Just assume you're going to get that set up at the time you want to get set up. If there's a problem, you can always come back later. The next thing we want to do is just ask them a quick question. Hey, what was appealing about that home, that specific home to you? Were there any features? Was there anything? Was it, the location? Was it the price? What was the most appealing thing about that house for you? And the only reason I'm asking is because I'm curious if I know of a couple of other properties, maybe even some that are off market, that are similar to this one in that price range and location. Would you be interested in seeing those at the exact same time? Give them a little bit more. Melody and I had this happen recently where we had somebody give us a call. It was off of a sign, and they were calling every single agent individually on the houses that they were interested in seeing. And they were setting up appointments with all of these different people. How complicated is that? And then if one takes a little longer than the other one, and then you show up late, and you've got a string of appointments that you've got set, that's complete disaster. Take that off their plate for them. Hey guys, this is super easy. We do it all the time. If you've got other showings, I'm happy to get those scheduled for you. And that way we can just go see them at the same time and we're not worried about scheduling. Does that make sense? So find out what was appealing. Why is that important? This is where they're going to start to connect with you. This is where you're going to have the opportunity to start to build rapport. That you've now talked to them, you've now heard what they're saying. You can now begin to mirror their cadence. You can mirror their tonality. You can begin to speak like them and speak like they want to be spoken to as you're paying attention to what they're doing. One of the different ways we have to set ourselves apart from all the other real estate agents. One of the ways that I do that a lot is instead of asking what was appealing about that home, or maybe I'll ask and see if there's something else, but I'm going to ask them this question early on in the process. Hey guys, what do you love about where you're currently living, and what are you hoping to change? Tell me a little bit about that. Now, why do I ask that? For a couple of reasons. They're probably in a home already that they may need to sell. They may be tied up in a lease. They're going to tell me all of the information I need to know by asking that one simple question. Where do you guys live currently? What do you love about your home? And what specifically are you hoping to change with the move? I need to get closer to work. We're actually renting right now, and we want to own a home. We own a home, but it's a little bit too small. We're in a townhome, so we're looking for something with a yard. They're going to begin to tell you all of those things by asking that one simple question. And what that question does is it says, I care about what you're looking for, not what I'm looking for. Does that make sense? So set the appointment, go through and find out if there's anything else that you might be able to show them. And now you earn the right to ask the motivating question, which is, I'm curious, what's got you started looking for a home? That simple question that I use there, what do you love about your home? What are you looking to change? That works as well. That goes to motivation. But whatever question you need to ask at this point to make sure that you're figuring out why they're looking at making a move. The motivation piece is the lever that you need to get them to move. People don't move based on logic. They move based on emotion, and the motivation ties the emotion. It ties together the emotion, and that's what gets them to take action. After you've done those things, guys, and there's an acronym for this. It's alms. The S in alms is actually about source. So you want to see where they saw the property, where they heard about the property. That's maybe not as critical at this point in the juncture. So just, going to the appointment, going through the location, what it is that they're looking for, their criteria, and then going to motivation is going to give you enough. Well, Rod, where do we bring up the contract now? Where do we bring up the fact that we're going to have to meet with them and go through some paperwork before I can even open a door? You do that after you start to call and set the appointments. So you're calling, you've got to create some value for these guys, or there's no reason for them to hire you over anybody else. And a lot of times they're not ready to sign a contract. So you're going to call, you're going to get all the properties scheduled, and then you're going to call them back. Hey, Melody, great news. I was able to get all of those properties scheduled. The first property that we're going to plan on meeting at is, and then give them the address. Now, before we get together, there's a couple of things that I've got to go over with you really quickly. And then now you can go through a simple one. Hey, I want to make sure on a couple of things, because the worst thing I could do is to show you a property that you fall in love with when you're not quite ready to buy it. Have you guys had the opportunity to speak with a lender? Have you talked about what your budget, what your comfort level is on your budget? You're going to find out if they're pre-approved or pre-qualified, or if they're just getting started. Whatever they say, hey guys, no problem. The good news is I've surrounded myself with people that I've vetted, that I've worked with a ton, that I would trust with my own grandmother. One of the most important things that we need to do before we go out and start looking at properties and getting too serious is making sure, number one, that you qualify to buy the one you fall in love with, and to make sure that we have the strength, if it is one that you love, to be able to put an offer in that's going to help you win that property instead of somebody else taking your favorite property. So what I'm going to encourage you to do is to have a quick conversation with our lender. They're going to go through a series of questions. And most importantly, we need you to get your income documents, your W-2s, your pay stubs into the lender as quickly as possible. They do everything digital now. They can take photos, whatever, but we want to make sure that you're pre-approved and not just pre-qualified. The next thing we need to talk about is earnest money. Have you guys heard much about that? Well, the good news about earnest money is it's designed to protect you, the buyer, not the seller. What we do is we put a good faith deposit down. And now if that seller gets another offer after he's accepted ours, he would have to double the amount of money we put down as earnest money and give that back to us to get out of the contract. And he still may not be able to get out of the contract, but the bigger earnest money deposit that you have, the less likely he is to sell the property out from under you. So that's kind of important. The next thing we're going to talk about, so you just go through this all, is the state requires us to define our relationship in writing before I can actually open a door for you. See, the way that real estate agents work is we defer our fee, our service fee, until closing in almost 100% of the cases. But the government and the state are trying to protect us from steering you to properties that may not be a great fit for you, strictly based on commissions, based on what we're going to get paid. So you and I are going to determine upfront what the value of my services are. It'll take just a few minutes to go through the paperwork when we get to the property, and then we just have to define our relationship in writing. Does that make sense? Perfect. And now you just confirm it. So I have these three properties scheduled for this afternoon, starting at 2:30. The first property we're going to go look at is the one that you were the most interested in, this one. I've tagged on a couple of others that might be a fit, so I'd love to be able to share those with you just to give you a comparison, so you kind of have an idea of what other properties look like in that price range and in that location. We want to make sure you can make the best decision for you and your family moving forward, if that makes sense. All right, guys, I appreciate it. That's basically the wrap. All right, alms, just kind of maybe write that down on the side. Always give them what they want first. Don't make them jump through a bunch of hoops. Figure out what was appealing about the property. See if there's a couple of other properties that you might be able to schedule at the same time, since they're going to be out there anyways. And then, just out of curiosity, what was the catalyst? What got you guys started looking for a home? Or my favorite question, which is, can you share with me, what do you love about your current home, and what are you looking to change with the move? All right, you guys, we appreciate you being here. We appreciate you. Good luck today.